Hey there! Today I'm going to walk through how to install React 3 Fiber with Astro.js. I'm going to give credit largely to this blog post that I discovered, which helped me quite a lot with certain things, and this is kind of like a video version of that blog post, so please go check it out. I'll put it in the description below. Now, I'm using Node.js version 20.17, so you'll need that installed before you continue. Once that's installed, you can create the Astro project using npm create Astro at latest. It will then prompt you for a name. I'm going to call it React 3 Fiber Astro. Then I'll choose basic minimal starter. I'll install the dependency so I don't have to do it later, and why not initialize the Git repo. Now, whilst that's loading, a brief overview on Astro is that it gives you, Astro is like a really nice development environment. You can have all the things like templating, componentization, and the whole NPM ecosystem. But at the end of it, it's a class of programs called static site generators. So you'll generate static HTML, which are super fast to load and can be hosted anywhere, not just like on expensive hosting options. So now that's installed, we can change directory into the project, which we are, and then use npx astro add react. So it's npx this time, not npm. The reason being is that we're trying to execute the Astro command line terminal to add React. And the reason why we use Astro to add React is that it does an extra little bit for us, like you'll see here, in that it's doing some configuration for us. So absolutely, I'd love you to do that. And then it's going to do some TypeScript configuration too. So that will be very nice for you to do. Now I'll install React 3 Fiber, which goes like this. I'm going to install 3.js, and then I'm going to install React 3/Fiber. Finally, I'm going to save so that those instructions are saved to the package.json file. Now, finally, this next step is optional, but it does mean that you'll get TypeScript types, which I find very useful for IntelliSense. This time I'll use npm install @types/3, but rather than this --save, I do --save dev, which means that these are for development users only. It won't get compiled into the final production app. Now I can use this very handy command code dot, which means that I'll open VS Code. It does mean that you have to have VS Code installed, and it does mean you need to have VS Code installed in the command line. So if you don't have either of those installed, feel free to simply open up your favorite text editor and navigate to the project we just created. So here's the project structure on the right hand side, or it might be on your left if you have that set up. And you've got source, pages, layouts. What we're going to be interested in doing is actually starting the Astro server to see our work as we work. So to do that, we type in a command. I'm going to go to terminal, open a new terminal. So I've got one down here. I'm going to type in this command npm run dev. And what that actually does is, if you go to your package.json file, you'll see a bunch of stuff, but the thing that we're interested in is the scripts object. And that scripts object has a bunch of properties. So when I do npm run, it's actually going to look for something, that name inside here. So npm run dev actually does Astro dev. It's like an alias, if you will. Now I can command click or control click on Windows on this, and you can see this beautiful but basic starting point. We want to add in our 3.js component here. So if I navigate to layouts, pages, we can see that we're using our layout and welcome. What happens now if I command KC or control KC, comment that out, you can see that we've got a blank page. Now, perfect for where we want to put in our 3.js scene. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click on components and go to new and then file. I'm going to call this file 3canvas.tsx. Now, TSX, if you're used to React, you're all good. But TSX implies that this is now a React component, so we can do React-like things. I'm gonna export a default function called 3canvas, and for now I'm gonna return just 3, just to make sure we know that things are working. And then I'm gonna go back to our index.astro and initialize it here. Now if I alt tab back into here, we can see this is our 3canvas. So let's start making some 3D content. Let's go back into our 3canvas, replace this with our actual canvas. Now okay, command period on that to import the correct inputs, and then I'm gonna create a simple mesh. So I'm gonna use an icosahedral geometry, geometry. You can see here if I hover over here, we know what arches to give. Oh, that should be arches. And the first is radius, so I'm going to give it a radius 1. And then finally detail, I'll give that 16. We'll leave it at that. And then meshes also need materials, so I'm going to instantiate a mesh standard material and do it really simply. Just give it a color, say red. Now if I go back here, we see nothing's actually happened. So if I open up the console and with Command Option I, you can see there aren't any errors. So what's actually happening? Well, as I mentioned earlier, Astro.js it creates static sites, which means that it does that at build time. Whereas React all happens client side. So we need to tell Astro that all of this stuff here is happening and on the client at runtime. So to do that, I believe the command is client and then only. And as this is the React component, we use React. For a Vue or Svelte, you'd replace it accordingly. And now we should see a sphere. But it's not a very exciting sphere. That's because now it's not red, and that's because it's completely dark. Even the background is white. The reason being is because we don't have any lights. So let's add in some lights. I'm going to give it directional light. Just leave it there. That'll create the light at the very center. So let's adjust the position. We're going to go X, keep that at 0. Y, raise it up a bit to maybe 4 or maybe 3 meters. And then we'll keep the Z, the depth, where it is. And now it's raised up a bit. Now if I change that to say 3, we'll go 3 units, 3 meters to the right. Maybe we can even add in another light and have it on the other side. So now it's going to be lit from both sides. We could even do a 3-point lighting setup. So if I change this to white, and then these colors, and then apply the color through the light. So that'd be really cool. So I'm going to say red, color, blue. Pains me to see color written without a U. So you can see here, and then we're going to maybe one directly up front. So I'm going to keep that those 0. So we're right centered down the x-axis. We're centered on the y-axis, but we're going to go towards the camera, which means that we should reduce. Or was it increase? There we go. It's actually increase. So you come towards X, so towards us. And let's change the color to yellow. And there you have it. 3JS scene in Astro. Thanks for watching.